let me tell you a little bit about Angel. He's a podcaster. He's a future author. He's got a book coming out. He's a ufologist. And actually, me and Angel were friends with Bill and Nancy Burns, and they had a fantastic UFO magazine. A couple of my articles got published in those magazines. They've been on TV. Bill Burns was on that TV show, the History Channel, UFO Hunters. Great guy. Um, Angel knows him very well. He's had him on
And
his show.
Nancy Burns, great lady. Let's not forget.
Oh yes, Nancy. She's a queen. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
she's
I
she's
love that show.
fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah. Um, Also, Angel is a movie critic. Okay, he's he knows a lot about movies. Let me tell you. Um, and he's also too a big fan of Kamala Harris.
Oh, awesome. I could tell by the hat.
Let me just put it this way:
Married with children.
National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
Yes. Al Bundy.
That's what I stand for, gentlemen, and I'm Latino for Trump.
That's Al Bundy. That's Married with Children.
Yes.
I love that show.
Angel, it's nice seeing you again.
Oh, my friend, lovely.
Oh, thank you. And you recently did a movie review, so I'd like to kind of get into that. What was this Superman that you did a review on, or?
I did a review for a movie my friend Carlo Mendez was in called Demise.
Okay.
Great movie. It's an independent movie by Gravitas Studios. He's Eva Mendez's younger brother. If you guys know the actress Eva Mendez. Me and him went to high school together. We've been friends for decades. And I do a lot of reviews. I think the Superman one you referred to is where I was talking about leaked photos from the Superman 2024 movie coming out next year. They're filming it now, but it comes out in 2025. It's directed by James Gunn, who did the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy.
Can you believe Nicolas Cage was at one time going to play Superman? They even have pictures of him. Yeah, they got pictures of him wearing his Superman costume.
I think that would have been
They
my
got
favorite.
footage on video of that, and that was going to be directed by Tim Burton. When I first heard it, I thought this is bizarre and just crazy. But after I saw some of like the behind the scenes stuff, I'm like, I kind of wanted to see this now because it's so out there. Like you almost, it's Superman. It's still Superman. It's just different actors playing the part in their own way. So once I saw some of the behind the scenes stuff, I was actually interested in seeing what this would have been. Tim Burton did Batman in '89, Batman Returns. So his style, he's doing Beetlejuice 2 now coming out. I love his style of directing.
Absolutely.
So once I saw that, I was like, this might actually have been pretty decent.
Plus, Nick Cage is a fucking icon. I mean, you got to give it up to the guy. Even his shit movies are good.
He named his son Kal-El, by the way, which is the birth name of Superman.
Yes, first because
And Nicolas Cage is now in a horror movie, and everybody's talking about it. What horror movie is that? Angel?
The Dracula one?
Is it
the vampire? Yeah.
It's a vampire.
It's called Redfield, I think. Is it Redfield?
Yeah, Redfield. Yeah.
Okay.
Good movie. Really good movie.
Yeah, excellent development. Yeah.
And also too, with Nicolas Cage, I saw a YouTube video done with AI where Nicolas Cage is Superman. So yeah AI is incredible.
It would have to be better than that fucking one with Kevin Spacey and Superboy, because that piece of shit. Oh, it turned me off. I haven't watched another Superman movie since that movie because it turned me off so bad.
If you want to hear a quick synopsis of a story that happened in 2004 before that movie came out, leading to that movie, because there's a whole connection there with me and the director and the writers of Superman Returns, which I named Superman or Singerman Returns, a turtle movie. But I was able to get my hands on a script for the movie, which was the working script back in 2005. Remember, the movie comes out in 2006. And during my connections at the time, I was able to get a hold of Dan Harris, the writer, and Michael Dougherty, the other writer, and Bryan Singer. And I was able to speak to Dan Harris of the three because the other two wouldn't take my call or my emails or want to reply to them. But Dan Harris engaged me in email, and I told him everything you guys are doing is going to fail. You're going against the fans' wishes. You're doing a movie that is springboarding off of Superman 1 and 2, the Donner cut, and it's right after Christopher Reeve died. Yeah. So instead of rebooting the series with a proper storyline that has something to do with Christopher Reeve, so you let his legacy stay in place, you guys are literally trashing that legacy. That Superman doesn't fight in your script. He's a PP and Tom. I said all this before it became narrative. That went so far that two websites posted the conversation. One was Kryptonian.com and the other was SuperheroHype.com. That exploded. I almost got sued by the Warner Brothers because I showed them the emails going back and forth, and they posted all the images online. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to get me sued. So eventually Dan Harris's people contacted me back, and I was able to avoid litigation over that. But I predicted that in the moment I saw that image of Brandon Routh in a Superman suit, I was like, this movie is a disaster waiting to happen. He's not a bad actor. He was properly picked to be Superman. He's a good actor, Brandon Routh. The problem was the script was terrible, directing was horrible, cinematography was all over the place. It had no real narrative. It was pretty much a glowing love letter to the Donner movies, but cut off to the point where it took no advances in that storyline, and nobody at that time wanted to see another face of Superman. It wasn't Christopher Reeve or Tom Welling from Smallville, which had the endorsement of Christopher Reeve to be the next Superman. Yeah. So, that's it right there on the show.
In my opinion, on that one, it doesn't go in nearly as in depth as yours, but I keep it real basic. Fuck about some superhero's kid. Angel. I don't care. I don't want to hear about Superboy and the idea of having this bitch tell some other guy that Superman's kid is his kid and raise him and all that other dramatic woman horse shit. It was nonsense. It's the same thing with James Bond when they brought in with that fucking English guy, whatever the last James Bond was. Suddenly he's depressed because a woman got killed. James Bond don't give a shit. He's on to the next piece of ass.
Exactly.
Drama? Are you fucking serious?
I like Phil already. That's exactly right. James Bond is a badass. He doesn't care about if she dies, well.
Oh well. Let's see who's next. Moneypenny, who you got lined up?
The next woman. Yeah, exactly.
And you guys,
100% with Phil on that one.
Hey, you guys were saying Nicolas Cage and Redfield. No, Longlegs. That just came out.
That's the new one, Longlegs. I thought it was a Cage.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, they said Nicolas Cage is just over the top on that.
I'm sorry, Zandine, I cut you off a minute ago. What were you? You were jumping in on the Superman thing, right?
Oh no, you were. No, I was saying, yeah, I was listening. You make some good points. I was going to ask Angel. I had a little delay. Sorry about that. I was going to say, the guys that that played Superman, like Tom Welling and Christopher Reeves, Tom Welling specifically, do you think that he escaped that Superman role, or because I've never seen him play. I've seen him play one other role after that, but do you think that's something he should be playing forever?
Well, the reason he never wore the suit on the show is because he was trying to escape the typecast. If it wasn't going to be the movies, he said that he would do the movies in the suit, but he didn't want to be Superboy on TV. Wow. He'd never be lost as Superboy on TV.
Wow. Okay.
And when they were doing Superman Returns, he was a finalist in the auditions. The reason he turned down the part is because they don't want to bring in the rest of the family from the show. And they wanted to literally recast everybody. He felt that was wrong because that was his cast, Okay. So out of loyalty, he turned that down. But even now, he says he's willing to do a movie
Yeah.
as Superman with the suit, but they never called him back. They've never asked him. They went directly from Tom Welling in Smallville to Henry Cavill, which also a
Yeah, which
great
is a good
cast. I know
Superman.
Henry Cavill since, yeah, I know Henry Cavill since Monte Cristo when he did the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah,
Great
yeah, yeah.
actor,
What are they doing
and
with
he always
Cavill
looked
now?
like Superboy, Superman.
Yeah. Why do they
When he
do
did
Cavill
Mission
like that now?
Impossible, Cavill, he's been able to avoid the typecast because he did Mission Impossible. Argyle or Abigail is another movie he just did.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. I remember like that.
Not the vampire
or something like
movie.
that. He plays a spy in a novel book. He's done a bunch of new movies. Henry Cavill's going to be okay because he was able to overcome that while still playing Superman, and there was such a long delay between the movies, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and then Justice. It's been such a long delay. He's been able to do other movies
Yeah.
in between. Well, Brandon Roth didn't have that chance. That was his first movie. No chance.
Okay, okay.
Tom Welling hadn't made a movie yet. You know, he did Smallville, but then he started doing another movie. He did Parkland, which was about John F. Kennedy. He's done a couple of things. But even Tom Welling has been very limited in his movie roles because he unfortunately got typecast as Superboy, who refused to be Superman, and he lost
Yeah,
most
yeah.
of his fan base. So a
Okay.
lot of Hollywood is like, this guy doesn't want to go with the program, so we don't want to cast him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he's lost a lot of jobs because of that. He was his worst enemy. And I love Tom Welling as an actor. He's a good actor also. But he was his worst
Okay.
enemy after Smallville. And I love the show. I'm
Yeah.
a super huge fan of Smallville. But, that's
Yeah,
just
yeah. I
how it
love
is.
that. That's good stuff, man. I
And
like that. That's really informative.
Angel,
Yeah.
what do you think about that blonde-haired actress that was in Smallville, and she was involved with that cult? And I think
Allison Mack.
yeah,
Yes. And she played Chloe on Smallville.
right.
Man, I'll tell you, I used to have such a huge crush on her the first couple seasons because she was so cute. She really, XCM, I think it's the name of the cult. She really got lost in Hollywood. I would say that she got lost in Hollywood, Epstein's Island, Diddy's Freak Fest.
Damn,
She
she
got
was out
lost
there in Epstein
everywhere.
Island? Yeah. Woo.
She was working for this one cultist who was connected to Epstein, Diddy, and all these different groups, and they were pretty much getting young women from Hollywood, young
Yeah, yeah.
actresses, indoctrinated them into the cult, and it was a sex cult.
Right, right.
A lot
But
of
they
what's
were
going on with
branding them.
Jeffrey Epstein, right?
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of the stuff you see now with Jeffrey Epstein and with Diddy coming out,
Yeah, yeah.
it's because of that cult going down. She
Well, look,
snitched on all these people, and that
usually when they go to Epstein Island, they get famous when they leave there. You know, all the people, once they go there and do whatever, whatever part of that oath they have them do with the sun god or whatever, they get famous. But
Right.
what happened to her? She went there and it went downhill.
Yeah, and also too, Angel,
Well,
remember
depends on
some of the women, they were branded. They were actually
Mhm.
with a hot
Yeah.
iron. Yeah.
That's a common.
That's
practice.
because they want to distinguish what cult they came from, like what group, like they had affiliations with. But they were all
Ah,
interconnected. It was like a giant cabal, and
yeah,
they were
yeah, yeah.
all in on it. But they all have their sections. It's like everybody talks about politics in America. We all know
Yeah.
the Republicans, Democrats, Independents. We're all part of the same kind of like group. They all know each other. They're friends. They hang out. But then they go on public TV or radio, and they're like they hate each other. But at the end of the day, they all kind of like buddy to each other, right? It's the same
And
thing.
let me
They
ask you
have
a
the
serious question,
divisions of
Angel.
class, race. Huh?
Let me ask you a serious question. And you
Sorry,
excuse me, I
man.
got a little delay. Um,
But
Isn't it true? Don't you think most of those organizations and those cults, it's either murder, homosexuality, or pedophilia. In a lot of cases, they get you to do. I tell on you, you don't tell on me. Like, what you think about that?
I'll tell you this much: when Justin Bieber was 16, there's a video, and I unfortunately was sent the video, and I saw it of him giving a BJ to football player Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, Odell in the club.
And
Yeah,
while he's doing that behind Odell Beckham, there's another guy, having intercourse with Odell Beckham at the same time. So Odell Beckham is in the
that's the
middle,
thing. But
Justin
man,
Bieber is down here, the other guy's back here. So I mean, that goes on. That was at a Diddy party.
So
man. That's
since
it.
Right. And the Hollywood is dirty. Hollywood is dirty. And
Yeah.
I mean, I remember after I did my Disco King thing and I had the Guinness Book of World Records, they sent me down to Hollywood. And I tried out for the Gong Show and I tried out for American Bandstand. They said I was too old for American Bandstand. And Gong Show, they said I wasn't funny enough. But this one guy, he was trying to push me into porn. And I said, hell no. I got family, I got friends and stuff like that. No way in hell I'm going to do shit like that. So yeah, there's a real dark side in Hollywood.
do you still have that guy's number?
Oh yeah.
Hey, I know, Bill. I know. Hey, look, man. Nah, you know what? I ain't gonna say his name, but there's an actor. When I was down there in Los Angeles, living down there, he came to my place one time and he's really concerned. And when we talked, he helped me a lot as far as music was concerned. But his main concern with me was like my soul, because when I would see him, one of the craziest times he knocked on the door, and when he came in, his eyes were real big, and he was like, "Man, you got to look at this." I'm like, "What, man?" And he's like,
He didn't show
and
you
he
his
put
dick,
the
did he?
website on, he went through some black screens, shut down, went through some other screens, and then it was this site where, literally you're supposed to sell your soul to the devil. So I was like, well, I mean, yeah, people can make a site like that, but he was like, no, man. He said, if you put your IP in on this one, it's a done deal. And then the thing of it is you could see on the front page, they wanted stuff like, what are your works? The main thing, like for you, before you could even do anything, they want to know what you did. Was it murder? Was it this or that? Like, so the level he was, for him to be that spooked about it, and ever since then, that's all he ever talked to me about.
It sounds like it sounds like something out of Robert Johnson, who went to the crossroads, sold his soul to the devil, and became a famous guitar player.
Yeah, but famous after he was dead.
He was scared.
So you're Zandy, and you're saying that there's an internet website out there where you can actually sell your soul to the devil online.
I've seen it. I mean, I don't know how I'll read it, but the person that showed me, he's not like a scary cat. He's got money. He's not just like gullible. And he was like scared for me. Like, hey, you know about this stuff? It's like, man, this shit is like. And that was like early 2000s.
Did he explain to you what you get in return? Like what the deal was?
Probably fame.
Well, that's what I'm assuming, but.
Well, the first page, the front page, well, he knew more about it, which he told me. We didn't go like going on it, but from what I could see, like I said, the main thing they were concerned with, if you did certain things and then like being part of that organization, it wasn't so much about what you would get. But I do know firsthand, I have an auntie who, before she had my cousin, she was part of a anti-Levade at Colt in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay. And she wanted to be a ballerina. And we're talking about, this is like 60. This is like a long time ago. She wanted to be a ballerina. She looked the part and all that. But my grandmother told her she couldn't. And she went to them. She started going to the church, and they said, hey, what would you like to do? And she said, I want to be a ballerina in like Paris, France. And they're like, oh yeah, well there's a way. And so what they told her to do was meet a married man, have a child with him, and give them the child. And this is real. So her cousin, they would go to the same church together, but she got scared and she told my grandmother. So when my grandmother caught wind of it, when Timothy was born, my Uncle Timothy, when he was born, my cousin, when he was born, she got him from, just in enough time where they couldn't do that to him. And he started out later on, we were both going to different churches together, but he took an ordination at 15. So like all kind of forces are always at him. Even when he took that ordination, some deacons in the church, they tried to molest him, and he fell out of the church. He was like, what part of the church is this? My grandmother said, hey, look, those are just people in the church. That's not God. That's not the messenger. That's them. So years later, he got back into it, and he he's as strong as ever. That dude's been through so much, but the last thing he sent me a video of him preaching in an empty in a like a sand lot, no microphone, homeless people from all walks of life came. He's really powerful, man. But like you know, he's the first time, you know, he's the direct victim of that type of cultism, you know, and that's a true story.
So it seems to me like the two big motivators that everybody tries to sell and offers up is money and sex. Now, I mean, some people, if that's not enough, they crave the power thing. I think that's where Diddy's in that realm, where it may not even be a sexual thing at this point, just the fact that he can make a straight person do some, you know, some homosexual stuff like that. That's power.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's mostly look. He wants the power, and with that power comes the ability to make somebody famous. And that's the same thing that we talked about Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of these cults, they take people who want to be ultra famous, they make them do these really horrible things, they corrupt them, they indoctrinate them, and then they recycle them into the same system so they do it to others in the future. Then he became part of that cabal, and he was doing that for decades. Remember, and this goes back to the early '90s. One of the reasons why Tupac Shakur, rest in peace, who I'm a huge fan of, and I'm friends with Money B from Digital Underground.
I'm from the Bay Area, so I know what you're talking
I'm
about.
also friends with yeah, I know Sir Mix-a-Lot and his people out of sight. You know, they're all my friends. I've known them for years. Now, part of why Tupac stopped being influenced with Diddy back in the early '90s is because Tupac was very anti-homosexual, and he saw what Diddy was doing back then, indoctrinating young artists, along with Biggie, who he had sex with. Here's a fact. He had sexual intercourse with Biggie. He had sex with all his artists to be part of Bad Boy Records. That was a mandate. And they had to do it, because if not, they wouldn't be part of Bad Boy. Even the women. It wasn't just the men. It was women. Anybody who was on Bad Boy Records, he literally effed them in the A, and then he took their publishing, and then he effed them money-wise and stole money royalties for them for years.
Right.
Rob died, and he was broke, and Diddy was responsible for that. He stole all that man's money. Then after his album, which went multi-platinum, and the Life Story album, which is an awesome album, I have the album. But after that went multi-platinum, what did he do? Cut him off, stole his publishing, kept his money, didn't get back to him. The brother died, homeless and penniless. This is the guy who sold millions of records. This would not have happened to this man.
Sorry, Angel. What cracks me up, and what I find funny about this, I've heard about the Clive Davis kind of lineage down to Diddy, and everybody knows Clive Davis is homosexual, right? But so I have no doubt Diddy at least swings both ways.
Oh, but yeah, he does.
The thing that cracks me up is that I watched, I think it was an MTV Music Awards show, some type of music awards show back right after Biggie died. When it was around the time when Diddy did the "I'll Be Missing You" thing and sampled Sting and all that stuff. There were other musical artists on that show, and one of them was Marilyn Manson. Now, Marilyn Manson, I think, did Dope Show on that that particular show, and he went out there, and everybody who was there with Bad Boy Records, with Diddy, they were all dressed to the nines and looking good. And Marilyn Manson comes out there all freaked out, like he was the character, and they looked at him like he was the Antichrist, like he was actually freaking them out or spooking them out, And at the time in my head, I was my second wife is African American, and so at the time, she was telling me, she's like, "Oh no, black people are very religious," and she's telling me about Jesus. She goes, "That's why they're freaking out about this, because he's literally coming out there like Satan." Now, if they're freaking out about Marilyn Manson, but in reality, who's the one who's acting like Satan?
Did he do it? Did he do it?
That's
Diddy, exactly.
Yeah, did he do it? Then on another note, since the assassination attempt, you haven't heard anything about Diddy, have you?
Well, you know what, man? That's where the Epstein Island, what Angel was talking about, the Epstein Island. One thing about Diddy people don't know, See, I always been in the rap industry. So what happened in the early '90s, and then a little bit after that, they would have the Gavin convention. Remember that, Angel? Remember the Gavin
Oh yeah,
convention?
yeah.
Okay. You remember Diddy used to go around the Gavin convention with no shirt on and sweatpants, looking freaky, right? Looking zesty. And the thing is,
Looking fruity as hell.
looking nobody gazing, nobody would say anything, but he was passing out tapes saying, "You want to roll with Bad Boy? You want to?"
Yeah.
I mean, but nobody was taking that serious at the time. And the other thing about Diddy, you could speak on this, Angel. You probably know more about this than I do. From what I understand, Diddy's father was an FBI informant that got caught, and that Diddy got a connection about him being an informant.
Yeah. Diddy is an informant, and look, nothing happens without people allowing it to happen. Okay, from Epstein to Diddy to Harvey Weinstein. Remember, Oprah kissed Harvey Weinstein on the cheek. Hillary Clinton was over Harvey Weinstein. These people are all in the cabal. Nothing happens without the approval of certain people in this world. These are the controllers of the cabal. And Diddy, his father was a snitch. Diddy and Epstein belongs to the cabal. And these people snitch on a lot of people. They had people on tape having sex with underage girls and boys, and they did it on purpose to control people. What you control people, you can do to Trump what they're doing, where you have all the media, you have all of the weirdos and Hollyweird, as I call them, you have all these pedophiles and these criminals against Trump because Trump is an outsider who doesn't belong to the cabal. That's why they hate him.
Well, he knows. Yeah, he knows.
The billionaires not part of that group.
Yeah, Angel, let me tell you something. We're gonna get cut off in a few minutes. We're gonna send you another link so we can keep on with the interview.
We're too cheap to pay for the pro version of this yet.
That's why I do my stuff on Skype. You don't have to worry about that.
We might have to.
I want to ask you a question. And Angel, tell me what you think. Like, did you notice that Stephen Hawking's, like, before he went to Epstein Island, yeah, I mean, he had some theories and he was like, he was up and coming. But after he left that island, the next thing you know, his radiation theories and everything were like he's Einstein. Did you notice that?
Yeah. He went from a scientific theorist to like the most brilliant man on earth, and that happened. Yeah, that's the theory of everything. He never solved it, but now he's like smarter than Einstein. I'm sorry, look, rest in peace. He's a great scientist and everything, but he did nothing really to solve anything. He just had theories.
So that sun guy,
the greatest scientist. Look, the greatest scientist this world has ever had is Nikola Tesla. Period. Yeah. Einstein after him, but Nikola Tesla is the sole purpose why we have everything we enjoy today.
Hey, Angel, just like in the government, you have a shadow government, and in Hollywood, you have a secret society of a lot of dirty stuff going on.
And they're all connected, my friend. It's all intertwined.
Wasn't it what Kennedy was talking about? I mean, the industrial complex, the society that exists alongside us with their own money, language.
I think wasn't that Eisenhower? Wasn't that Eisenhower who warned about the industrial complex? The military.
Kennedy gave us a 2-hour speech on it too, though. He did, right before he got assassinated. He did do a speech on the industrial complex too. If I remember correctly.
I didn't see that one.
Kennedy also.
I didn't see it when Kennedy spoke about it. Kennedy, I heard they took him out for several reasons. One, he wanted to pull out of Vietnam, which I think might have been the biggest thing. And two, he kind of welched on a big deal. He was put into office because his father made a deal with Sam Giancana and the mafia, and they kind of swayed the vote. They got the unions, all the unions, to vote for Kennedy, and that's what kind of just pushed him over the top. So he beat Nixon. But once he got into office, he put it through pure nepotism. He assigned his brother to be attorney general, right? And then he let his brother go mad dog crazy after the mafia, when the mafia was the one who got him into office.
Exactly. And Joe Kennedy was a gangster himself.
Yeah, and Joe Kennedy, meanwhile, had a stroke and also point, so he couldn't stop him. He's just, was probably,
His birthday's around Trump's birthday too,
And what happened to that red diary of Marilyn Monroe?
Forget about her diary. I want to know more about the diary of Joe Biden's daughter, where she says that he molested her in the shower when she was a teenager.
I heard that recently. I haven't read about it though. How much truth is there with that? Like, where's that source? Is that from her?
That source, directly from the FBI, confirmed. They went and they trashed the Project Veritas's office because Joe Biden's administration sent them there to retrieve the diary. The diary had been scanned, and the actual scanning of her writing is online. They leaked it, and that's why they invaded their office, took the diary, and later they had to admit the diary was real, and everything in it was real. Joe Biden never neglected that had happened. His daughter never said it didn't happen. So as far as we know, Joe Biden molested his daughter, and Joe Biden also molested Tara Reid, not the actress, another lady named Tara Reid, who he forcibly put his hands inside her vagina. That's rape. And she, for since the 90s, came out with this information, and the left swept that under the rug. You can look that up. It's his facts. He is a rapist and a child molester. That's a fact.
Yep.
And he was Obama's vice president. And the same guy who said that Obama was the first black person who was decent, clean, and spoke well. And he's a racist on top of the child molester and a rapist.
Yeah.
Think about that before you vote for Kamala Harris and her fake African American family, which is actually from India. And I have all the proof of that also. Her mom was Indian, her dad is Jamaican from family heritage of India. Her entire family comes from India, and they're all slave owners. Her grandparents back all owned slaves unto her grandparents, and they still live in plantations where they had slaves. And Joe Biden's family owned slaves. Facts. Trump's family never owned a slave, never owned a plantation. They never traded in slavery. They were the complete opposite of what they're saying he is. If he was a dictator, he would have not left office in 2020.
Are you
That's
sure
another
about
lie.
that? I mean, if you look back in most white people's heritage, there's normally, a couple hundred years ago, something like that.
That's 100% proven. That's a fact. You can look that up. You can Google it, whatever you want. Duck, duck, go. Whatever. Yeah, it's 100% proven. It was proven a couple of years ago.
Even on the other side of the family?
No side, neither side of his family ever engaged in slavery. That was proven, and that's when they came out because one of the African American ladies on the View.
I'm not saying you should judge somebody by what their great grandfathers do.
No,
anyway.
but
all I'm
you
saying
gotta
is
look
that
at the
if you're,
upbringing.
if you have Caucasian heritage, European heritage, and your family, at some point, especially with the history of this country, there's a chance that your one of your great grandfathers or grandmothers might have
Not Trump's family. They went
You know,
they went 150 years back, no slavery.
And Angel, the truth though about the matter, though, okay, Biden, I actually heard a tape. It sounded just like him. They had him on it. I don't know if it was him. And he said that Obama was one of them smart niggas like that. Okay. But at the same token, it's an affidavit. But I seen an affidavit with a 13-year-old girl that said Trump molested her. But here's the deal. The stuff that she said in there was the same stuff that other girls that had been with him at the parties, the questions about STDs, do you do it without a rubber? These same questions about, it seemed both of them got some bad info on both of them out there. And like, it's hard, and both of them look, it looks like it's true. So for me, it's like, wow, the mud is real dirty between both of them. So, I don't know what this, I don't really know what to say about either one of those charges. So that's why, it's like somebody's got to be pulling strings. I saw Angel that you read Pale Horse. So that they're,
Hold Up Pale Horse. Yeah. My favorite book of all time. Yeah.
Right. What they, as far as they're concerned, there is no party. The money is for both of them.
Let me tell you a little something about the Trump stuff, dealing with Epstein and the young girls, because I know a lot about that. And I'll make it quick so I don't take too much of the time. The young girl, the main slave girl that Epstein had, met Trump twice. Okay, this is from her own mouth. She was taken to Trump Towers by Epstein, who met Trump a year before by Jocelyn Maxwell. Okay, He meets him because Epstein wanted to create a building, and he wanted to use Trump as the company to build the building for him in New York. Trump turned him down because it wasn't profitable. So he went away. They saw each other at like billionaire parties, like they all in the mingles, all billionaires. And through that one connection, Epstein took that young girl to meet Trump for a beauty pageant for
Okay.
Miss, I think it was Miss Teen Universe. But you had to be 18 and over. She was 16. Okay.
Okay.
And Trump said, look, she's too young. And I'm sorry, I can't have you as part of the pageant. You're too young. Her own mouth said this. She said that was the only time that she met with Trump before one other time. And he never touched her, never molested her. She never touched him. He was actually very gracious and polite and nice. She said she cried.
I did read that.
Yeah, she said she cried because she thought she let Jeffrey down by not being on the pageant like he wanted because he was trying to get on that pageant. Because remember, part of the deal was I'll make you famous, right?
Yeah.
And he couldn't deliver, and she thought it was her fault. So Trump had no other connections with Epstein until they ran into each other at a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader party. All overage girls, okay, all cheerleaders, the Dallas Cowboys, and there's two famous pictures of Trump and Epstein, where Epstein went up to Trump and said, "Hey, Trump, how you doing?" And they started like having a conversation. Trump is a billionaire. He talks to everybody. Anybody who comes up to him, he shakes your hand. He does it. It's called being part of the world, right? He's all to like everybody. That's why you have rappers who loved him. You had entertainers who loved him at the time, business people. They all went to see him and meet him. And he took pictures with hundreds and hundreds of people. They're trying to make him guilty by association, basically. They say, oh, look, he was partying with Epstein, but they don't tell you the content. He was at a Cowboys party, invited by the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Because, again, he was the one who invited people, the owner of the Cowboys. Trump showed up with his girlfriend, okay? And he was there. This guy runs up to him and says, hey, Trump, how you doing? They take a couple of pictures, and all of a sudden, he's part of the cabal. Trump never was. The only reason Jeffrey Epstein got investigated in the mid-2000s was because Trump, who had banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago and all his resorts, was because they went, this guy named Acosta, not the reporter, but another Acosta, a prosecutor, was investigating Epstein. He spoke to Trump because he had seen that footage. And Trump told him, look, I don't deal with Epstein. I haven't dealt with him in years because we had a fallout because he tried to molest the daughter of one of the women that works for me at one of my resorts. And she told me about it. So I banned him from all my resorts. I disassociated myself with him. And I am willing to testify that in court because I'm against that. And because of Trump speaking up against Epstein, there was charges brought up against Epstein. Had Trump not spoken against the pedophile, Epstein, nothing would happen to him. You never heard the investigations. This is why they hate Trump, because he's against the pedophilia. He's against human trafficking. He's for close borders and making our country safe. This is something I've known about Trump for years. I've been watching Trump in media since I was a kid in the 90s. When Donald Trump went with Michael Jackson to Ryan White's house, who's the little boy dying of AIDS, was a hemophiliac and had blood transfusion. That's why he died. When that happened, I saw that on TV as a kid, and I was like, that's a good person. He paid for that kid's hospital stay, okay? He paid for funeral arrangements, and he didn't know him or the family, but he went to the house, met the family, did everything because it hurt him in his heart to see his little boy dying of AIDS where he did nothing wrong. That person is a good person at heart. And Michael Jackson was a huge friend of Trump's, and even Trump allowed him to stay at Trump Towers for free, okay, because he knew Michael Jackson was an innocent victim of the Hollywood system. And he felt bad for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a rapist. He was a victim of rape. And I know that from the family.
You don't think Michael Jackson was a pedophile?
No, he wasn't a pedophile at all.
The guy, did you see the footage of him bouncing that 14-year-old on his knee at the Princess Trust concert?
Yeah, who took that?
It doesn't matter who took it. He's sitting there with an 11, 12, 13-year-old boy on it, bouncing him on his knee, right next to like the Prince of Wales.
Okay, but
and
but that but that doesn't mean the pedophile. A lot of kids would often go to Michael Jackson and hug him and want him. He was just a magnet for because he was a big kid. And when they say all kids are sleeping on his bed, that wasn't true. Michael Jackson's bed is a mansion. His room is two floors. Okay, and his room had a bed and had couches. I seen the room had couches everywhere. And when they say kids stayed, 80 or 90% were the Jackson kids, the nephews, the nieces, the kids of Tito and Jermaine. Jafar Jackson, who's playing Michael in the movie now. They all would stay over. Nobody said they molested anybody. For Michael Jackson to be a pedophile and molest kids, you're talking about the biggest cover up in molestation history. Because
Michael
Michael
cover
Jackson
up
never
because
had
he
a
was
chance to even go
prosecuted for
pee
it
by
twice.
himself. And he won the case. No, he was prosecuted once, and he won the case in court. The first time they
Well,
settled
he
out of
got
court
his order. Is
because
that the
his
first
lawyers
time when he
settled.
paid them off so that he wouldn't have to
And
go to
Jordan
court?
Chandler, the kid who settled, he said that Michael Jackson never molested him. His father committed suicide and admitted that it was all a lie.
I don't
And
know.
his father
where
was
the
the
smoke is
writer
fire.
of his father, by the way.
As a
was the
heterosexual
writer-
male, I don't want anything to do with anybody else's kids. Yeah, I don't
But
even like hanging out with my own
it's a
kids.
fact.
So I mean,
Bill,
come on.
I hear you. I feel you on
Well,
that. You know, you
Bill,
like
Bill,
It's not a fact, though. Jordan Chandler's father was the writer of the movie Robin Hood Men in Tights that was directed by Mel Brooks. He wanted $20 million from Michael Jackson to write and direct the movie that he was trying to do. He was a Hollywood writer. Michael Jackson said, I'm not interested. Everything that happened after that was concocted by the father to smear Michael Jackson and destroy him using his son. His son publicly later said when his dad committed suicide, his son said that Michael Jackson never touched him. It was orchestrated by his father, and he divorced his family because he was ashamed of what they did to Michael Jackson.
Was he one of the two
Jordan
kids that
Chandler
tried?
is a victim
Was
as
he one of the
everybody
two
else.
guys that tried to sue the Jackson estate after Michael died?
Yeah, no, he's not one of those two
He's
guys.
not
Those
one of
two
those
guys
guys.
are artists who wanted record deals and they didn't get them from Michael Jackson. So they got mad.
Angel, I'm gonna have to agree with Phil because I don't want to be around any snotty little kids. I just, I'm sorry. I just
Angel.
can't deal with it.
You're raised different. You're raised different. Michael Jackson was raised in a huge family with a bunch of kids. He was used to as a child to be around a bunch of kids, and he never like Michael Jackson had autism. So you guys know he was autistic. He had this mentality of a kid. He stayed literally as a 14-year-old mentally. Corey Haim said it. Corey Feldman said it. Macaulay Culkin has said it. They all testified and they said he never touched us. He never was a partner. In fact, Corey Haim defended Michael Jackson. Corey Feldman said that Michael Jackson literally took him aside when they said, "Be careful with this guy because he's gonna try to rape you." And he went to that guy because that guy already had tried something on Corey Feldman and told him, "You touch him, I'll kill you." He said it just like that. Corey Feldman admitted this. And Corey Feldman admitted to being molested. So what's another name? You know what I mean? If Michael would have touched him, he would have said it. Michael Jackson was an innocent victim, but he was such a feminine looking guy because of circumstances. Remember, all the Jacksons kind of have like this almost like weird feminine
Surgery,
look to them.
plastic surgery. They all had freaking plastic surgery, is what they did.
Well, no, Michael's actually have vitiligo. His skin disorder.
I'm talking about the nose
job.
job. I'm not talking
The
about
nose is
vitiligo.
because you notice in the 70s and in the late 70s he fell off stage, broke his nose. That's when the first nose job happened. That's a proven fact.
It was also
Second was-
because they called him Big Nose as a little kid.
Well, no, that had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with it. This is a proven fact.
Then why did
Breaks his
Latoya
nose.
get a nose job?
Hey, you know what?
Why did
That's
Jack get a
different.
nose job?
I'm
Hey,
talking
hey,
about
hey.
Michael. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about Mike.
But
I'm
you know
talking
what?
about the Jackson nose jobs. It's a whole. Some doctor made a fortune off the Jackson family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
hey,
That's fine.
that feel-
Yeah,
I,
Michael
Artists have
lost
those
his
jobs.
nose on
That
the
means
city.
nothing.
I got a big nose, so I know a little something about that. But let me just tell you something though. Three things. You know, actually four things. Kamala, Michael Bloomberg, Tupac, and the country Oyo. Let me so you're gonna like this, Angel and Phil. So
Go for it.
Kamala, ironically, my mother she worked at DA's office, San Francisco District Attorney's office for 40 years. She died at that
Oh,
place.
boy.
So she went through all the DAs, Arlo Smith, Then came Kamala Harris. So a lot of stuff about Kamala. Kamala was, my mother passed. She did send me some stuff saying, your mother was sweet, this and that. But there's a lot of politics. And also, you got to understand the way the blacks looked at the laws she was passing at that time was different than how they might have to, look at her now, because some was like, man, she making it hard on some of the brothers in the street. That was the word in the Bay Area at the time. But now,
yeah, fact.
Bloomberg, let's get to the dude that runs that agency. The Jacksons came to him, and it's such a great area. I mean, when you hang around kids, I mean, people, you gonna open yourself up to something. But here's an interesting story. Bloomberg, the guy, he did Jimi Hendrix, he did Prince, he did all of them like PR. The dude was a rocket scientist when he was little, but he ended up running his firm down in LA. And what he said, you probably know who I'm talking about, Angel, but he's the one that sent Paul McCartney home when the parents came. He said, look, man, he's getting so high, you better take him home because in 2 weeks he might be dead. So the thing of it is when you talk about the Jacksons, he said that the Jacksons came to him, Jermaine, Tito, one of them, they came to him and they wanted to investigate. They wanted to know who was after Michael. They needed help. And he said he felt that they were too powerful, that they had too many resources. Like, he didn't want to help them. He didn't want to take the case. So
showing the music.
So what he said was, I'll at least tell them. So he took a while to take a meeting with them, but finally he took a meeting and he said, I'm going to meet him, at least tell him that I can't take the case. So when he met him, what Bloomberg said was that he thought they were so nice. He said, man, these brothers were so cool. They were so nice. I never met these brothers like, and he said he thought they were so naive and green that he said, you know what? They probably are going to need my help. And so he said, look, I wasn't going to take your case, but give me a year to investigate everything that I could find out. So after the end of that year, he came and had a meeting with them, and he told them, he said, you know what? As smart as I am, he said, the people that got their hooks in trying to get money out of Michael Jackson, he said, they make Darth Vader look like Ron Perun. I mean, this is a story that he said on like Art Bell or something else,
Yeah.
And then Tupac, Michael Jackson had a fight with Tupac and whooped his ass.
What? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We go back to that. And also the country Oyo. One time
you know why that happened though, right? You know why that happened? You know why that happened?
Yep. I heard some Pyrus and Crips talk about it, but I want you to expound on that. And then the last point I was going to tell you is Oyo. One day I was at because I grew up in the Fillmore inner city, the ghetto in San Francisco. People think it's all Pier 39 and sourdough, but that ain't it. So the thing of it is, I was down there at the bus stop, and when I got on the bus driver, he said, hey, he said, man, you look like the Jermaine Jackson. And I said, but you know what? He said, you like the Michael Jackson? I said, yeah, I like Michael. He said, I don't like the Michael. I said, why not? He said, because him change his nose, man. He don't like his stuff. He said, me? He said, where I come from Oyo. I look in the mirror. I said, I see my big nose. I said, I love myself. He said, he don't love himself. And he said, man, the women from Oyo, he said, a 53-year-old woman, she looked 35. This is what he said. He said, listen, man, love yourself. And and I thought about the nose thing, so we saw Michael's nose before. I don't know if he changed it, because the pressure and people getting on him. But once you start, it's hard to stop. But I will tell you this, though. Yeah. There's two sides of Michael that people seem to know. The one that people think he's a pedophile, and then there's one where people know Michael as, hey, look, I'm keeping this active. Like, he would let that voice go. When he got jumped in by the Crips, and when he talked regular to them, because you got to understand his father, who is he going to be scared of after getting his butt whooped by, Joe? And the type of cussing, the type of mentality he could have as a black man when he's dealing with other people, he's seen the map, he's seen somebody real narcissistic. So, the size that they, people see, it's hard to pinpoint it. But I'm like this, as a fan of Michael, and when they ask me the question of pedophilia, I'm just like this. To be honest, I've seen him with kids. I could see how you've been with kids and you miss your childhood. I know how that could be too. But the same token, I'm like, I personally wouldn't keep kids in certain things. But I also know there is a bona fide report of lawyers on both sides getting money out of them. So I don't know if it's a little of all of it. He did that. He had some involvement. They got money out of him, but I still, when I see Michael, the first thing I think of is not pedophilia. I mean, that's just not what I think of. And when I see
I
Prince,
think
or
of
when I
his
see
music.
Ricky, I think of how they got killed. I'm like, man, what was going on that it was that deep? How can Prince, Michael, and Whitney all get killed? I mean, like that, and about the same time, I mean, it's just crazy. And then the same person that sells drugs to most of them black artists, they've been selling to them for generations. To your mama,
Yeah.
to your son, or to your cousin. You getting off my shit the whole time, and you dying off my shit.
I think of the
So,
music.
hey,
I remember Michael. Part of what happened to him was when he burned his hair in the Pepsi commercial.
Angel,
That-
Angel, I gotta tell you something. Okay, when you said burn the hair, okay, they flew me down to the Shrine Auditorium because in that Pepsi commercial, his hair caught on fire. They
Yeah.
brought out an envelope with his hair in it, and they had me do an EVP, and I actually got an EVP in front of the
I
cameras.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you sent me that. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
you sent me that. Yeah.
Did the documentary in Searching
Yes.
for the Spirit of Michael
Yeah.
Jackson. And I got Michael
Yeah.
Jackson's voice on the recorder. I was
Come on,
right
man.
next to his ghost. I'm part of his timeline.
Come on now.
But you're
I'm usually skeptical of EVPs also, but that freaked me the hell out. That was actually because let me tell you that's what led Michael to experiment with these medical drugs because he wasn't a drug addict. Right? He didn't use heroin, crack, or anything like that. He did smoke pot. I know that for a fact.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know that for a fact. He didn't smoke a lot, but he smoked a little bit of pot once in a while. But the thing about Michael, and going back to the Tupac fight, which is very funny, the reason that happened was because Tupac walks into the room, right, one day, and he sees Michael with Kadena Jones on his lap because
Right.
Kadena Jones was his goddaughter, and she's there hugging Michael, hey, oh, Daddy Michael, is what they called him. And Kadena Jones was just, with her godfather. She didn't know any better. Tupac walks in and he's like, yo, that's my girlfriend, dude, what the hell? And he went at him to beat his ass. Tupac hit him, Michael hit him back, and then they started wrestling in the ground. And then they were like, Tupac got a couple shots in, Michael got a couple shots in, and then they separated them. And they were like, why are you two fighting? That's my godfather. And Tupac was like, oh, snap, I messed up. And then they became good friends after that because it was.
That's the way I heard about the fight, though. And that sounds cool. The little detail. So I heard that when Pac, and people gonna have different stories, but I heard that when Pac went to hit him, they said that Michael moved.
He ducked. The first one he ducks, yeah.
And hit him.
Michael was a black belt in karate.
And when Pac went to go kick him,
Jackson studied karate.
And they said when Pac went to kick him, he blocked his leg, right? But then the people were joking. They said, man, he put on that glove. He said, your blood is mine. And then he said, he said, Michael do those high ass kicks. He went, he got them high ass kicks. They was joking, man. They wasn't, the shit was funny, but they said all the brothers and all the dudes in the room, the partners in the room, they said Mike got him. See, when you ask people like dudes watching a fight, the consensus, they're gonna let you know who they think got the better. And what
Mike
they said
wasn't a pussy. That's that people got it twisted. Mike was not a pussy. He was a little bit autistic. Well, I know that for a fact.
He got jumped in the Crips. He got actually jumped in the Crips. But
he was no pussy. He could take a fight. Michael also was a black belt in karate. He knew how to fight. He wasn't like a joke.
Those noises did sound a lot like Bruce Lee.
Years. Actually, he wasn't very slick. He didn't great Jeet Kune Do.
Angel.
But he was very good.
Angel, you remember all the animals on Neverland Ranch? Those animals.
I can forget about the Chimbobo.
Yeah, all those
Bubbles.
All those animals. I was connected with Michael Jackson again because I was a supervisor over the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and I was over the restricted species program, and I helped transfer some of those exotic animals to other locations.
Damn, that's heavy.
Cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned Joe Jackson, and I have to say, I think Joe Jackson might have been the greatest father in the history of mankind because he whooped those kids' asses into superstardom.
Oh, yeah.
And I only wish my father had whooped my ass so that I could have been that.
Hey, look, I got spankings, man. My mother, like, the way I learned how to read.
Me too.
I had toys in my hand. Sesame Street came on. They put a ST like for stop on the thing. She said, say ST. And I'm playing with my toys. And I just did. She goes, and I go, and then when they put op, I said op. I got quickly. I didn't want to get fired. I didn't want to go through that no more. So it didn't bother me, but I know that's a bad story, but so what, it happened. And I learned how to read before most did.
Look, when I was a kid, and this is funny because Paul sent me a picture of Kamala Harris in the Captain America outfit, and I thought that was hysterical. My dad laughed his ass out, by the way, Paul. Funny as hell. But there's a story about Steve Rogers, Captain America, when I was a kid. Speaking of great fathers, my dad had bought me a huge Captain America toy dressed in, the original Captain America outfit.
Yeah. With the shield and everything.
Captain America fan. Right. And one day I didn't want to wake up to go to school. It was like 87 around there, 88. And I didn't want to wake up. And my dad was like, you're not waking up? And he had just paid like $30 for this big ass doll. He took the doll, beat my ass until I woke up, broke the doll he just bought a few days before. And I still wouldn't get up. He grabbed me by my feet, threw me off the bed and said, you're going to school and learning, or you're going to be an idiot in the street begging for money. My dad did that. And because of my dad's values and my mom's values growing up, I've never been to prison. I've never smoked cigarettes. I don't drink. I haven't had an alcoholic beverage since 2003. Okay? I don't do drugs. I smoke some pot, and that's it. And I'm open about it. I don't lie. I've never smoked a cigarette or a cigar. I don't roll blunts, and I don't roll joints. This is what I use. My pipe. Right there. I'm a real motherfucker. I'm the realest dude you're ever going to have in this show.
You saw the
I don't play. I don't bullshit. Man. Oh. My grinder.
The grinder.
These are my two best friends right here when I'm not with my girl.
I heard that.
So, Angel,
I'm a realist. I like my show. My tag, sorry, Paul, and I'll let you my show tagline since I started in 2008 was, this is going to be realism radio for the masses. I don't bullshit. What you hear from me is been documented. I'm 46. I've been researching everything since I was in my teens. So when I speak on things, believe me, it's backed up. I have facts. I have witnesses. I have correlation evidence. I have actual documented evidence. Whatever you need, I can prove it to you. That's why I do my shows.
Angel, I got to ask you something. Okay. When I watch a movie, I'm usually done with it. I don't ever watch it over again. Yeah. And I know you watch the movie over and over again.
If it's a good movie.
It was a good movie, correct? Yeah. I'm never watching the Madam Web again, or
no, fuck that piece of shit.
Never watching that shit again. No.
There's only well, actually now five shows that I'll watch over again, and that's Patton, Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, Casualties of War, and The Boys. For some reason, I'm hooked on The Boys. I keep on watching.
Great show.
I guess I like all the exploding.
Yeah, Casualties of War with Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. It was one of the most true movies that dealt with Vietnam. It was one of the way they showed Vietnam and the war and the way the people conducted themselves. The soldiers, for example, a lot of them, was really shown in that movie. Like that movie was very honest to reality.
Casualties of War.
Casualties of War.
Yeah. And you know what? My dad from the Viet, he's 78 now. I asked him which one I like Deer Hunter just for the whatever. Yeah, but
God bless him, 78.
I asked him which one was the most realist one. He liked it Full Metal Jacket for some reason. I never saw that.
That's a great one.
Your dad was a Marine?
He thought it was realistic. He used to tell me about the smells and the people hollering for their mama and all kinds of shit.
Was your dad a Marine, Zadine?
My stepdad was from Pendleton. My stepdad he was stationed at Pendleton, and because he graduated from high school to I
was gonna say that I mean I went to boot camp in '93, and even in 1993 it was just like the boot camp part anyway was just like Full Metal Jacket. It was the same day.
Oh yeah.
You like Full Metal Jacket?
Oh hell yeah!
Hey, I just got to tell Angel, I'm no VC. You VC?
I'm no VC. This is my rifle. This is my gun. This was for shooting, and this one's for fun. You know what I'm saying?
I'm in a world of shit.
You as a Marine, but you know, Phil, you as a Marine, one thing I know, like, you know, the altar, like my stepdad, like, man, we different than like dude was just straight lace. He was on the police force too. If you wanted to become a cop in San Francisco, dude investigated your whole background. I don't care like who you were, like from the time you was an infant, but he really was that dude because I knew him off duty, and he really was squeaky clean like that. You know, even if I go out and I leave like some change, like in a day, he said, "Man, still don't leave that out." I'm like, "Man, it's like 3 cents. Is there somebody gonna break in and take that?" I'm like, "Man," he said, "Take it out." So I go and take it. All the stuff, all the Marine stuff, man. He did all, man. Like push. You have no idea when you have a stepdad that was a GOAT, you know, a Marine. But it was I respected him. But weed, alcohol, something like that, dude wasn't about that. He might like a little Jack Daniels, but you know.
My son could tell you. My son went to is in South Korea right now. He went to Air Force. I wouldn't let him go to the Marine Corps. It's just because I knew better after I did it. So, but because he grew up with me, when I went to see him graduate, he graduated top of his class. He had no problems at all at boot camp. It's just a lot. He said, in fact, some of his drill instructors came up to me. They said, "Oh, we heard about you."
He was ready.
Hey, Angel.
God bless him, man. That's all.
Hey, Angel. And now you're supposed to be movie smart. So what line is this? Hey, you're a funny guy.
Oh, come on.
That sounds like Joe Pesci. Sounds like Joe Pesci.
You think?
Hey, you're a funny guy. Sounds like a Joe Pesci line. Am I right on that?
Goodfellas. Hell yeah, it's Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Yeah, that's Goodfellas. Joe Pesci.
Before we get out of here, Angel, and I'm sure Phil and Paul got the best questions, but man, let's not miss you. Let's hear about them UFOs, man. Let's hear about them UFOs.
Oh man, you want to really get into the rabbit hole?
Let's get into it, like.
Well, part of the Kennedy assassination had to do with the fact they wanted to declassify a lot of UFO stuff, and part of my show is not just declassifying, it's debunking a lot of the myth. For example, a lot of the stuff that people are claiming they're seeing in disguise as aliens, they're not aliens. They're our own Black Budget projects. This all started after Nikola Tesla died and we won the Second World War right before him. After the war, Germany, which was working on exotic technology, including the bell-shaped UFO, the Hanabu, they took the projects they were working on with Werner von Braun, which was the leading scientist for Nazi Germany, inherited to the United States. This is fact. Werner von Braun was given citizenship in this country, even appeared in Walt Disney commercials and infomercials and TV shows with Walt Disney to give him the popularity of an American, even though he was a Nazi scientist, one of the highest Nazis.
Yep.
That's Germany. He was the #1 rocket scientist for Hitler. Now, when he got to America, a lot of that technology was brought over. And when Nikola Tesla died, and this is another Trump coincidence, Donald Trump's uncle, was part of the recovery team that recovered the documents from Nikola Tesla. In his works, he had schematics for a UFO-shaped object. Now, that happened right pre-Roswell, okay? Roswell was a direct result of test flying, okay? Not just crashed engineered and reverse engineered crafts, but stuff they mixed with Tesla's technology, with the Nazi technology, and with Vimanas, which was something they found, which are from the Indian horde hundreds of years back, the Vimanas. Now they use all these technologies, and this exotic technology, including the bomb, which with the Oppenheimer bomb, right? When that went off, actual aliens started coming down and saying, "Hey, what the hell are you guys doing? You're blowing atomic bombs?" And they noticed that we had all this technology from crashed aircrafts and all kinds of things. And that led to Roswell's crash. Roswell wasn't aliens. Roswell was 2 ships that crashed because of radar. 2 of them, one of them went off course because the radar interfered with the comm systems and brought it down. That was at the famous ranch that they found all the debris a mile away from the ranch. Now, the other crash was 2 miles away from that one. that was with alien bodies. Because what happened was radar, unbeknownst to us, took those kind of crafts down because they interfered with their systems. So basically, they accidentally took two crafts down at Roswell, and then the lore became, oh, it was a crash, and then it became a weather balloon, and then the cover up started. And because
The
they wanted to
dummies.
cover up the fact there was a Nazi German mixed with alien and other entities, let's just say, like the Vimanas, who knows about that shit. All these different technologies put together. They were test flying these things. And what happens when you test fly or test drive anything new? You're going to have crashes.
Yep.
That happens. It's, that's part of the process of perfecting things. Today, what people are seeing as UFOs, 98% of the things that are witnessed in the skies are our own objects. There's one called The Avenger that came out, not the movie, but it's called, ironically, The Avenger. The Avenger 2 is another one, which replaced that one. They all look like triangles, like what Art Bell saw, my good friend Art Bell, rest in peace. What he saw was a government ship, was not aliens. But he actually did witness it, and the way he described it was exactly like The Avenger 1, which was with the little light in the center, the three lights, the pyramid shape. That was the Avenger. That's exactly what Art Bell saw. And even Art Bell told me, because I worked with him directly, he told me I was on Dark Matter Digital Network when he was online. And he said, yeah, it was most likely a government ship.
You know the movie
That's
The
from
Day
Art
the
Bell
Earth
directly.
Stood Still, Angel?
The original or the remake?
The original. Nah, that remake was another piece of shit movie that was ruined by a kid. Oh, we got to have Will Smith's kid in the movie to fuck that one up. God, I hate that shit.
That was Will Smith kid and Keanu Reeves, who I love, but man, yeah, that was a terrible movie.
Yeah, terrible. But the original was great, with the robot Gort, and then who was the little
Flip to, I think was the name.
No, those are the words you had to say. The robot was Gort, but you had to see Klaatu Varata Niktu, right? Which turns out those were the same words that you had to do in that movie with Bruce Campbell, Army of Darkness. They reused those words.
Yeah, but, the Evil Dead series. Yeah.
I love the Evil Dead, but the premise of that movie, of the original, the idea that the aliens saw that we harnessed nuclear technology in the original, and that they came down and warned us, cut it out. You're gonna, we'll let you destroy yourselves, but as soon as you try to take this off planet, we got these robots.
They're cut off.
You're done.
That movie was very factual, believe it or not. It was a fiction movie, but a lot of the ideology behind it and the story elements were fed to Hollywood. Because remember, Hollywood is a big mouthpiece for the government. Yeah. Hollywood indoctrinates people through their movies. And for the last 100 years, they've been slowly conditioning the world for the fact that we're not alone in the universe. That's a fact. Whether the things in the skies are ours or theirs doesn't matter. The fact is, we're not alone. We've known that for over 150 years now. The governments, they've been hiding and keeping it a secret. My good friend Steve Bassett calls it the UFO embargo, which is exactly what's been going on here, the grand embargo of alien life. That's been going on for over 100 years.
Have you read Arthur C. Clarke?
Oh, which one?
Childhood's End.
I've read it a long time ago.
Okay, that was where they came down and they put the ships and they said, all right, we're here, but we're not going to let you see us for 50 years.
Right. It's a prime directive.
Yeah, and the reason was, as soon as 50 years later, when they let them see us, they all look like devils. Horns, tails, the whole bit. And they said, well, that's why we didn't show you when we first got here, because you would have lost your minds.
And, correct. Yeah. Well, think about it. A little gray alien with big bug eyes. I mean, that would look like a demon to anybody. A lot of the lore from it kind of does. But a lot of like the lores of the demon possession or demons, all this demonic stuff from like hundreds of years ago are misidentification of aliens who would come down to Earth. Yeah. People would see them and be like demons because they don't know what aliens were. Yeah. Leprechauns the same. Misidentification of small beings from other worlds. They'll be like leprechauns, demons, because you're talking about people that didn't know the difference between space aliens and demons, and they were only known about religion and demons and ghosts and that kind of stuff.
Do you remember? Yeah, Angel, just like everything connects with fairies and extraterrestrials here you have fairy circles, you got crop circles, you have UFO nests, so that all connects. Then you also too, that fairies were also too abducting the fetuses of pregnant women. Extraterrestrials do that. Um, um, Fairies also too had these magical wands which could put you to sleep or put you in paralysis, and extraterrestrials have the same thing. And I'm sorry, Phil. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was about to talk about more sci-fi, but Babylon 5. Anybody watch that series back in the day?
I used to.
I used to, but I was never a huge fan.
It started off slow, and once they got Bruce Boxleitner in as the captain, it really took off and got incredible. But there was this one species of alien aboard that space station that they never showed what it looked like. It always had this like big suit on that you could never see what it was, and it was considered like one of the oldest species. I don't know, it was Vorlon or something, some name like that. But there was one particular episode where the captain of the ship was falling off of like one of those trams that went overhead, and he was going to die. There was just nothing was going to save him. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this alien that you never see because they're always in this suit comes out of the suit, flies up, and rescues him. And when he was out of the suit, every different species of alien and human that was there all saw him differently, and they all saw him looking like an angel. Yeah. And at that moment, they tied in the fact that, that's because that species is so old, they've been to all your planets before. And they literally seeded everything and influenced the, history on every planet amongst every species. And I thought whoever wrote that and put that together, that it just, it was one of those, oh my God, wow. Everybody was really into the show. That really was a great moment. Talk about the crowd strike, the nightmare that just took down the world, because I was part of that. I got a call 3 a.m. Friday morning and was on the whole next day, getting back. We had 12,000 systems that were affected on my company, but it was worldwide. All the airports were down. And my brother, he called him up about it. He didn't even read the news, and he says, "This is a test. This is a test from Russia." I'm like, "No, it's crowd strike. It's an antivirus.
It's not Russia,
company.
but it's a test. Yeah, but it's not from Russia."
What's crazy is that it's a company that's supposed to protect us from viruses, and it's a relatively new company, at least in the past 10 years, that we switched from McAfee or Norton, and suddenly I had no idea how many people were on CrowdStrike. And then the fact that they fucked up rule 1 of IT is that you always test in non-production first before you move to production, and you don't deploy on a Friday, 12 a.m. heading into the weekend. It's just
yeah. Well, CrowdStrike is also part of the 2020 rigging. That even Trump has talked about it. The CrowdStrike stuff. Yeah, that they were part of that. This is why do you think they got the money to do what they're doing now? Do you think it gave them the contract?
I think they're going to be done.
I don't think in 2020.
I don't think there's going to be a crowd strike after this incident. I because most companies can't survive that type of hit. They're going to get sued. There's SLAs that were breached. They're just going to hundreds of millions of dollars were lost because of this. So.
Oh yeah. Literally, yeah. I mean, this sent back airlines at least a day or two, money-wise, because when everything goes back, they'll make their money back. But economy-wise, it's horrible.
Do you remember CalFed Bank? Do you remember CalFed? It was but they sold out the Citibank in the early 2000s. I used to work for them, and we had an outage I was an exchange administrator back then, but we had an outage at CalFed Bank because one of the SAs who was on the raised floor lost his marbles or something, was pissed off at the boss, and he went to the raised floor and he hit the big red button, which shut down everything, right? And it took them 3 days to get everything back online and running again. And they said that they estimated they lost up to $8 million in transactions because of those 3 days that they were down and unable to work. And so that's one company. This thing took down the whole world almost.
Everything. Yeah.
So I'm just guesstimating. It's got to be hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no way they're going to take that hit themselves.
Billions of dollars. Dude.
I could see that. I'm being conservative. They saying hundreds of millions, but it's too much for CrowdStrike to be able to say. CrowdStrike, I don't think it's going to exist after this. They can't. They're gonna have to go.
They shouldn't. They're what they're doing is highly suspect, and a lot of it's illegal.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that for a few years. This is why they got their contract. They're part of the inner system, the cabal, as I call them.
I think they're going to be out of business, or at least changing names, changing leadership, something.
One or the other, yeah.
But hey, Paul, you want to wrap this up? Zandine, I think, might be having technical difficulties.
Yeah, he came in and out like a dating party.
Yeah.
Angel, I just want to say, it's been so wonderful to have you on this show, and all the topics that we covered. I mean, it blew me away. So thank you. I hope that you come back on the show. And is there any way that we can contact you? You got a website or anything like that? You got anything you want to promote? Let's do it.
Very simple. My website's my name, angelespino.com. I'm the most transparent podcaster in the world. I don't lie about my name. I don't hide behind a moniker. I don't lie to anybody. My show is open and honest. People can call in if they want. I do it on Skype. That's the only difference from you guys. I know Paul's very honest also. And Phil, I just met you, but I'm sure you're an honest too. You got the face of it. But very simple. angelespino.com. My show's Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I do it for 2 hours online audio, and then I'll do the video portion, which I put on YouTube later. And I've been doing that since 2008. And if anybody wants to research me, very simple, angelespino.com. That's it.
Angel, you also too have a book coming out. What is the name of that book?
Correct.
And what's it going to be about?
Yep. It's called Now We're Talking. And it's kind of a piggybacking a little bit on what William Moulton Cooper did on Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper. It's a little bit like that kind of style. I'm talking about my life and what got me into the subjects and my history, researching everything that I've done. Paul is very kind. He gave me a couple of things that I'm going to include in there as part of the book. And the very insightful stuff that I kind of like skipped over in my mind. And he brought it back to collect. And I was like, I got to put this in there. Thank you, Paul. And part of that has to do with the Nazi German bell. And I'll tell you what, guys, that book is going to come out. It's already done. I'm just on the last chapter trying to figure out the ending, which that's the other thing. I need everything else is structurally finished. It comes out hopefully by the end of this year or next year with a follow-up book, which is halfway written, also called 90 Miles to Sunshine, which starts with Cuban Missile Crisis, UFO, the connection between that and Kennedy, my mother's story in there, because my mother is a very historic story in our background in Cuba. It's very historic. Castro killed one of my uncles in front of the wall in Cuba, in Muro. And that's going to be in the book also. It's a lot of stuff that I'm personally involved in, including the assassination of my cousin Nelson Molina Espino, who you looked that up also. He was assassinated a year and a half ago. Rest in peace. And he was a political prisoner in Cuba, and that's going to all be in my book. It comes out, I hope, by the end of this year or next year, the first one, followed up by the second one, 90 Miles to Sunshine. So the first one, again, it's called Now We're Talking by Angel Espino, and the second one, 90 Miles to Sunshine. So please take a look at the website, and all the info will be on there as soon as it's done. Thank you for bringing that up, Paul.
Thank you, Angel. Hey, Zandine, we're wrapping it up. Anything you want to say to Angel?
It's all right. It's all good. Angel, enjoyed you, Angel. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
I love the energy, man. And we all should stay in contact. Get my info. Contact me, man. You guys are all awesome, legit people. So,
thank you, sir. Thank you, Angel. Really appreciate it.
So much.
Great time tonight. Thank you.
give peace a chance, everybody.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Later, guys.